the Supreme Court has scheduled next Monday, 23rd of October, to hear 3 appeals challenging the judgment of presidential election petition, court affirming President Bola Tinubu's election. If you are new to this channel, make sure you subscribe to this channel now. The court registrar, Zainab Garba, on Thursday issued the hearing notice seen by Premium Time. The appellants, Atiku Abubakar of the People Democratic Party, Labour Party, Peter Obi, and the Allied People Movement, filed their appeals urging the Supreme Court to nullify the Presidential Election Court decision which upheld Mr. Tinubu's victory on 6th of September. A 5-member panel of the Presidential Election Court, led by Haruna Samani, had dismissed the petitioners' suit on the basis that they failed to substantiate their allegation of electoral fraud against Nigeria Electoral Commission, INEC, and Tinibu, among other claims. After weeks of filling the exchanging court papers between Atiku and Tinibu, the appeal court has set down the suit for hearing. At the hearing next week, the Supreme Court will unveil a 7-member team that will advocate and determine the case. In his appeal, Atiku-led lawyer Chris Uche answered the suit on 35 grounds. Mr. Uche, who is a senior advocate of Nigeria, said the 5-member panel of the Presidential Election Court have read in their verdict. In court filings at the Supreme Court, Mr. Uche contended that the PEPC's judgment occasioned grave error and miscarriage of justice. It is legal reasoning by upholding Mr. Tinubu's election as president. In the document dated 18th of September, Mr. Uche contended that the Presidential Election Court failed to adequately evaluate his client's evidence before reaching its conclusion. The lawyer faulted the court's use of disparaging words against Atiku, which infixed bias. In another ground of appeal, Mr. Uche told the Supreme Court that the lower court conclusion did not represent the true picture of the grounds of his petition. He further contended, among other issues, that the Presidential Election Court erred in law when it failed to nullify the presidential election held on 25th of February 2023 on the ground of non-compliance with the Electoral Act 2022. Yes. When by evidence before the Tribunal, INEC conducted the election based on grave and gross misrepresentation contrary to the principle of the Electoral Act 2022, based on the doctrine of legitimate expectation. Meanwhile, Atiku filed fresh evidence at the Supreme Court concerning the academic record of Mr. Tinubu, which the former vice president from Chicago State University in the United States. Although the issue of Mr. Tinubu's academic records was dismissed, Atiku intends to breathe fresh life to it since he obtained the document from the U.S. And you know what the U.S. court is doing concerning this case presently. In September, a U.S. court ordered the Chicago State University to release Mr. Tinubu's academic records to Atiku despite the president's vehement opposition to the release of his transcripts. Mr. Obi appeals at the Supreme Court. Lawyer Levi Ushowu filed 51 grounds in challenging the Presidential Election Court judgment. Mr. Ushowu, a son, argued that PEPC reached the wrong conclusion. In one of the grounds, Mr. Ushowu told Supreme Court that the 5-member panel of the Presidential Election Petition Court, led by Haruna Samani, erred in law and thereby reached a wrong conclusion when it dismissed Mr. Obi's suit. He faulted the Presidential Election Court evaluation of Mr. Obi's evidence, he said that the court erroneously rules that Mr. Obi's case failed to establish the polling station where electoral malpractice took place during the February presidential election. The lawyer also said the lower court conclusion caused a grave miscarriage of justice when it heard that Mr. Obi did not identify the specific number of votes he pulled at the polling unit, where he accused INEC and Mr. Tinubu, which is our president, of suppression of votes. The appellant lawyer urged the Supreme Court to determine if the presidential electoral court did not err in law when it based its reasons on the first schedule of the Electoral Act 2022 to expunge Mr. Obi's witnesses. Statement on oath from the court's records. Some of Mr. Obi's key witnesses, whom the 5-member panel of the court dismisses their testimony, were a web engineer and a statistician. Mr. Obi and Atiku had filed separate petitions at the PEPC accusing Nigeria Electoral Umpire INEC and Mr. Tinubu of electoral malpractices. Also, they contested Mr. Tinubu's qualification to stand for election and begged the PEPC to set aside the election, but the court, in its decision, held that they failed to prove their claims of electoral fraud against INEC and the president. Make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel for more content like this. I will see you in my next video. Bye.